Descent of the Demon God. By Hanjo Wiolia. Chapter 127. Ocean Group. Part 1. Within the Ocean Group. A man on the terrace answered the phone with a serious face. The middle-aged man with big ears and thick lips was Mun Il Hyang, the chairman of Ocean Group and the Muram Association. Yes. I understand. Looking at the way he answered the call, it was clear that he was talking to a difficult person. After hanging up the phone, he took a cigar and lit it. Phew. The smoke filled the face. And then a man with thick lips in his 30s asked the man. Father. Was it them again? The man was Mun Il Hyang's first son. This one took the place of Mun Jongso, the deputy of the association who died at the hands of Chenyan. Yes. Answering, he sucked on the cigar once again. Mun Il Hyang was frustrated by that. This is bad. They have lately been acting like our boss, aren't they doing too much? Mun Il Hyang didn't answer. It meant he didn't want to get into the conversation. Father. I think we need to move our hands now. We can't always be swayed by them. Think about the future of the group. Sigh. Mun Il Hyang sighed as he let out the smoke. His son's proposal wasn't an easy thing to do. Unfortunately, he was the only one who knew their true selves. This might seem horrible for his son, but he knew that there was no escape from them. Son, that one is the devil. Mun Il Hyang sold his soul to the devil. If he didn't do it, the group wouldn't be where it was, and he wouldn't have been so strong. He and those who follow him are something that humans couldn't tackle. No one knew how many times he wanted to say it. However, if he said that to the public, things would head differently for him, so he kept silent. Father, you speak of nothing to me. Mun Il Hyang kept looking at his father and sighed. At least what was it in the middle of the night? They asked me to hire people to enter the TRA right now. At that, Mun Il Hyang's face went stiff. Huh? That restricted area? The TRA was the place where even the government gave up and locked it down. Why did they want people going down to such a dangerous place? A starless dark night filled with clouds. A cold city where not a single light could enter. The name of the city was Fuyang. As one of Anhui's cities, it was once a place with a population of over 3 million, but now the city of death has no survivors. Most of the buildings were destroyed, and no place was left intact. More than 80% of the wall has been broken, and restricted area signposts have been buried in the grounds. This was one of the reasons why the entry was prohibited. Wing. In this place where a gloomy wind blew, green smoke rose like haze. It was a radioactive contamination phenomenon. At first glance, it could have been mistaken to be the outcome of a nuke, but mankind cannot use a nuke at present. This was created by that being. Shoo! A black shadow moved across the city at high speed. The black shadow flying over the dark city stopped at a certain point. It was a ruined area. Must be here. The shadow mumbled as it started over a pit of 120 meters. There was something huge in its middle, but it was unique to see. He needs to be woken up again. The shadow mumbled in a nervous voice and reached out his hand. A faint red energy flowed out from the shadow and entered the pit. There was no reaction. Huh? The eyes looking down the pit were a bit confused. It obviously had to be in this place. No way, they said it died 7 years back, ah. At that moment, the ground shook as if an earthquake had occurred around the pit. The hardened ground crumbled, sharp things in unique shape began to soar. It seemed like this thing was high enough to be taller than the high-rise buildings. It is up. The shadow's eyes, which were looking down, smiled. One of the worst beings that was put to sleep was now up. At the same time, in Xi'an City State Council, an emergency meeting was held. Because it was late at night, not all the council members were present. Even the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister weren't there, and this meeting was being led by Council Member Wang Yiqing. The agenda for the meeting, which was being held by the heads of 4 departments and important members of the State Council, was truly shocking. What are you saying now? Are you saying that thing in the TRA has awoken? It was quiet for 7 years. Why now? The councils were enraged. They didn't want to believe what they were hearing about this existence within the TRA. In particular, that being in Fuyang City was risky. It destroyed 3 cities and killed over 5 million people. No. Wasn't that thing dead? The existence which could destroy everything with a single move, it had one day stopped moving. It was 7 years since the last time they heard about it, so everyone considered it to be dead. However, that thing was now awake from its slumber, which was an utter crisis. When everyone was shocked, Defense Minister An Wuhong said, "The Prime Minister and Deputy aren't here yet, so why not just give out a code red and issue evacuation orders for those close to the city and wait for further orders?" The surrounding places were in danger. Unlike other gates, this one could destroy the entire China. And if they weren't cautious enough, history could repeat itself. We will keep the army close to Fuyang City. The situation was critical, so An Wuhong was about to step in when Wang Yiqing said, "Director An." "What?" "Commissioner Wang. Since we are in tough times, say it quickly. This isn't a matter of military only. Question mark. To the puzzled An Wuhong, Wang Yiqing said, "Didn't the Ministry of National Defense sign an agreement with someone?" Oshin Group Office. About 300 employees were gathered. With swords on them, they all seemed to be skilled martial artists. Counting the 8 strong people that were leading them, this group was the best force. They were called out in the middle of the night by an emergency call for Man Il Hyang. The people immediately came out with weapons, unable to take their eyes off the TV in the lobby. Breaking news. The State Council issued a red alert. Citizens residing within the walls close to Fuyang City, which is a TRA, have been requested to follow the guidelines and head to the other cities. Oh my! Did it move in the TRA? 3 places were under the TRA. And there wasn't a single person in the Murim who didn't know of it. The TRA was an unsolved place, be it the military or the Murim, and clearing it was impossible for the humans. Wait, we aren't heading there, right? We are going to the TRA? Because of the news playing at the same time, the people's faces darkened. No matter how strong the Murim people were compared to normal humans, the risks of a gate appearing were the same. Chairman? The people looked at Man Il Hyang, who was standing cross-armed in the room. From his response, they were trying to guess if they had anything to do with the TRA, and it seemed to be true. Man Il Hyang's expression was dark. Ugh, did we have to touch the TRA? Man Il Hyang thought to himself. Of course, that one said he would intervene later, but it was evident that sacrifices would be made. It would be like burning the house to catch 3 bugs. He knew about the place. The place to use the TRA to get rid of the Sky Demon Order and recover the image of the Murim Association. Making sacrifices was essential for it. Indeed, that one regarded human life like worms. Huh, funny. Since when did I start to care about human life? Man Il Hyang shook his head. He sold his soul to that one, for the sake of the success of his group. Human lives didn't matter to him at that time. Let's just do what we need to, and not complicate stuff. Man Il Hyang stopped worrying about it. It was funny. How could other people feel if the so-called great warrior of the Murim, which many Murim people are envious of, was just a minion wielded by the devil? At that time, 12 handsome men and women with exotic appearance appeared in the lobby. They are here. The demons. The demons who will deal with the one in the TRA. Among the 12 people, 2 demons stood at the forefront. The 3. Beside that one, 2 other demons were here. He wasn't scared of the others, but the 3 were the scariest ones apart from the one in the top. Is everything done? Human? Mun Il Yang frowned at the words of the demon called Brahm. He was one of the 3, with gray-brown hair and a blue suit. This one demon was the kind who didn't hide his distaste for humans at all. And Mun Il Yang was hoping not to run into this one. It is done. Mr. Brahm. You can leave. He couldn't bow to the demons in front of his staff, so he used telepathy. It is annoying to do something like this, to kill one human. The demon didn't like this. He was confident that he could kill the human, but he couldn't understand why such a troublesome plan was made for that. Don't complain, Brahm. There is a saying among humans. Even lions need to do their best to catch rabbits. Al-Kato, one of the 3, was standing next to him. He had no hair, not even brows, as if he had alopecia, and gave out a terrifying impression. Brahm mumbled at that. Huh. Humans are just prey. After all, what if I kill him before entering the TRA, huh? Step. A man with sharp eyes, a white face, and a black suit walked into the lobby leisurely. Mun Il Yang unintentionally looked away and was shocked at what he saw. It was Chenyan. No, how did he get here? Because it was a trap made for this person, who should be on the way to Fuyang City, not this place. What was even more shocking was, I feel nothing. Even when the man was this close, he couldn't feel anything from the man. He thought there would be no man who reached the Divine Master level. So he is above me? At that time, Chenyan smiled and said, Thanks. I was planning on taking care of it all. It seems like all were brought into one place. At Chenyan's arrogant remarks, Brahm, who was already annoyed, yelled, Ha! What is with that cheeky bastard? I was getting annoyed, so this is a good thing. I'd rather end you here. Shoo! At that moment, Chenyan appeared right in front of Brahm. Brahm panicked as he was startled by the speed, which made him stretch out his nails that looked like sharp weapons. You seem fine, so I'll start hard. What? Chenyan swung this sword. Cha-cha-cha-cha. At that moment, a jet-black line appeared where the demons were, and including Brahm, the trajectory passed countless times. It was shocking. And the moment the lines were done, all body parts split at the same time for all the 12 demons without a chance to attack. What the hell was that? Mun Il Yang was shocked at that. Chapter 128. Oshin Group. Part 2. That is suicide. Most of the clan members were forcibly awakened, and all have marquee-level abilities. Considering the Murim people, they all must be around the Divine Master level. Beside his 3 henchmen, those 3 have different skills. Deo tried to dissuade Chenyan. He didn't like it, but since he swore allegiance to the man, he didn't want him to die. Everyone reached Divine Master. As fighting-type beings from birth, the demons were stronger than humans, which meant no one could stand against them. In that case, if that man was sending in demons when Chenyan was away, one day he might be late and too many casualties might occur. To prevent that, Chenyan wanted to remove them. Cha-cha-cha-cha. Trajectories in black. It was the invisible sword of sky demon energy. If there was an absolute way to destroy the opponent, he could always unleash the supreme demon sword. But this much is enough. The power of the invisible sword with sky demon energy is enough. How could a human? Brahm, whose head was split into dozens of pieces, asked. It wasn't just him. In an instant, the entire body of 12 demons was torn apart. Quack! Cack! The only thing remaining unharmed from the demons' bodies was the core. The demon-like swordsmanship cut down everything apart from that one thing. Shoo! When Chenyan reached out his hand, the core was sucked out from the demons' bodies. It would be bad to get rid of these. Mystic abilities were inside the demons' cores. And that was the reason why he didn't use the Supreme Sky Demon Sword. Since the Supreme Sky Demon Sword would cut off everything, Chenyan tried not to use it. No way. Mun-il Hyang, who was watching from the sidelines, wasn't shocked. Even he, who was at the peak of the current Murim, could barely deal with one demon. Besides, 2 of the 3 main demons were here. To take down 2 of the 3 strong demons like this, it was truly overwhelming. With that, Mun-il Hyang knew for sure. This man is Heavenly Master level. At that time, Chenyan swung the sword. And the invisible sword, which emerged in the air, flew through one of the pillars in the lobby. Puck! Quack! The same sound cracks could be heard from other sides too. And suddenly, the space below the lobby shook, and someone appeared. It was Al-Kato. Qua! Al-Kato grabbed his stomach, and black smoke was coming out. It was a wound made by the invisible sword. In addition, the face and body were full of cuts. How did you avoid it? Chenyan asked curiously. The invisible sword with sky demon energy on it definitely aimed for them all. But in that brief moment, one escaped. Al-Kato stared at Chenyan. That one is a monster. One of his abilities was teleportation. He could use it within a distance of 15 meters. I thought I managed to avoid. He used it the moment Chenyan appeared in front of Brahm. If he hadn't instinctively felt the crisis and did that, he would have been cut into pieces of meat like them. He always thought that his teleportation wasn't that good since it was short range, but now it saved his life. He isn't someone I can deal with by myself. What the hell are you doing? Attack him! Al-Kato hurriedly shouted at Mun-il Hyang and the other warriors. The elders and the others, who were watching it in admiration, came to their senses, but they didn't act on it. It was strange for them to act after seeing what they did. What should I do? How can that monster be stopped? Seeing their attitude, Al-Kato bit his lip. Maybe the humans were too scared to move. His clan members felt fear as well, but their master or leader ordered it. But the humans, huh? Wong. Al-Kato tried to hurriedly teleport because of the invisible sword flying towards him. And his body appeared at the entrance of the gate, which was 15 meters away. Damned bastard. A little late, and the sword would have been pierced in him. While he was annoyed and worried, Chenyan appeared ahead of him. Shoo! You! Do you call that fast movement? Hook? Chenyan tried to touch him again with the sword. Confused, Al-Kato teleported again. Wuong! This time, it was outside the building. It would be nice to teleport in a cool way, but he had no choice. I need to run away. This wasn't someone he could deal with. So he thought that if he teleported constantly, he could escape. Woong! Al-Kato teleported. And once again, his body appeared 15 meters away. And he was about to teleport again, until he saw something. Crackle! Lightning sparks flowed right ahead of him. And not just one. Uncountable swords with thunder chi were spread out around him. What? Shoo! Right ahead stood Chenyan once again. Although he was unable to teleport, he couldn't believe Chenyan's fast movement. You can only move around 5 jang? The distance of jang was the traditional unit, which meant 15 meters. Al-Kato's face went stiff. When did he notice it? Unfortunately, and despite not using it a lot, Chenyan understood the ability. If this man couldn't travel too far, then the solution was simple. It was to make a ranged attack ready in any direction he might take. With a smile, Chenyan said, "Try it again. That ability to move. Are you really a human? I am tired of hearing the same question each time." Shoo. When Chenyan lifted his finger, the countless swords surrounding Al-Qaeda rushed for him. Crackle. What fucked up mess is this? Acaldo's face turned pale at the lightning coming for him. Meanwhile, in the sky, not far from Gwangju City, there were two flying figures which were moving across the sky. As they flew at the same high speed, the faces were disrupted. Shoo. When one stopped, the other stopped too. And the exotic-looking man in a grey jumper asked, "My king, why did you st? The link with the clan was cut off." Huh? What is that supposed to mean? At the bewildered question, the man whose face was in shadow yelled out, "It means that all those gathered in the Ocin group were killed." How? The clan was their strength. And the clan members sent there were strong ones who were awakened, and such ones were annihilated? There were two of the top three there. No way, they were hit. No. The three people had served this person since the past. They were the ones who turned strong as they ate the pursuers of the clan. It was hard to believe that they were defeated. No, did a duke come? Duke? Otherwise, these clan members couldn't be defeated. Did the dukes move? The man stroked his chin with a serious look. If the duke's pursuers came, then the situation was dire. If even one of the dukes was sent or came here, then returning to Gwangju will only disrupt the entire thing the king established. At the subordinate's words, the man fell into anguish. At that moment, the phone on his wrist rang. Ring. He looked at the screen. Oshin Group Chairman, Munayel Yang. His eyes gleamed in suspicion. The entire clan was annihilated, and it was strange that this man only called now. Hesitating, he answered it. Munayel Yang? It must be you. The man's eyes narrowed. This wasn't Munayel Yang's voice. Who are you? Me? I am the Chun Ma of the Great Sky Demon Order. Chenyan. When he boldly gave out his identity, the man's face distorted. He thought that this was done by the pursuers of the clan, but this was done by the person they were trying to trap and kill. It was absurd, so he said. You did that? Chun Musong? Well, I didn't mean to, but I did what you did to me. What? I was going to wipe out all of you, not just that one place. Crack. The man clenched the phone. It was fortunate that the phone was made of gold and didn't break right away. You are cheeky. How dare you say that to me? You have been too immersed in human society for too long, but it doesn't seem like you can fully act like a human. At Chenyan's words, the man went silent. According to what he had just heard, this man knew about his identity. Which meant there was no need to act. You know about us. A traitor who preys on his own people. At Chenyan's sarcastic words, the man spoke in a voice filled with anger. That isn't something I want to hear from inferior humans. You are a funny one. If you think humans are inferior, come to the Oshin group. What? Don't make me wait for long. Don't tell me you are trying to run away with your tail between your legs. You cheeky worm. At Chenyan's words, the man's face turned red. Suddenly, his eyes turned black. He wanted to kill this man on the phone right away. My king. The subordinate, who was listening to the call, shook his head after pressing the silence button so the other side couldn't hear it. It's a trap. Calm down. The energy he was releasing subsided and the man was back to normal. I am glad I have this one. He lost all his power and two of his best subordinates, and he was on the verge of losing his control. Luther is right. Having dealt with all of them meant he came well prepared over there. So I must not fall for his trap. He wanted to go, but he wasn't sure what the enemy was wanting him to do. And Luther spoke in a hushed voice. He's going to come to the TRA area. We can use that as our stage. The man nodded and released the silence button and said, Do you think I will do what you want me to? Running away? Running? Huh. Do you think I will be afraid of a human who is nothing more than a bug? If you want to die so much, come to Fuyang. I will take your life over there. Fuyang? As Luther said, he brought Chenyan to the place he wanted. If Chenyan came there, he could trap him. Such an obvious plan. If you don't come, I will do the same to you. Doesn't your presence there mean that Yongchen is empty? This time, he provoked Chenyan and thought it would work. You are pretty close. What? The man frowned at those words. He wondered what it meant. Puck. Quack. A scream erupted from Luther's mouth and a hand protruded from his chest. And in the hand was Luther's core. When the man looked at the one behind Luther, he couldn't hide his shock. It was Chenyan. How are you here? Chapter 129. Oshin Group. Part 3. The man who was always in the shadows was Hagar. The clan's traitor. Where in hell did he come from? Hagar's eyes shone. Even when he gained strength, since he was a fugitive and always on the run, he was extremely vigilant. So since this man came from the office side, he should have known. Shoo. Chenyan smiled. It was worth it. He decided not to let Hagar notice him. It was around 2 o'clock in the morning. Moving in the shadow realm, Chenyan moved closer, where the other two immediately used the teleportation ability to narrow the distance. A useful ability he managed to get. Qua, you. Luther, whose chest was pierced, was furious. But what could he do? His core was already in Chenyan's hand. Are you the last of the three? Pack. Without hesitation, Chenyan pulled it out. No. Hagar tried to reach before his friend's core got pulled out, but he was too late. When the core left the body, Luther fell to the ground. Swash. Thud. Black smoke began to rise around the body which fell. If the core wasn't put in right away, he would die immediately. You bug. Hagar's eyes got dyed in black and black veins grew all over his body. But the appearance was unusual. What is that? All the exposed areas were covered in scars. Most of them were sword cuts. Sword? At first glance, it looked like sword wounds. However, these weren't, it seemed like numerous ones. What? They seemed to be wounds from several kinds of weapons. He was puzzled, but Hagar, who was standing there enraged, yelled, If you don't give me that, I will kill you. He pointed to the core in Chenyan's hand. Do you need this? Careful. Human. If it takes even the slightest damage, you will die. Before he could even finish, Chenyan opened the shadow in his palm and put the core in it. Shoo. Seeing that, Hagar's expression hardened. No, that ability? If he wasn't mistaken, the ability he witnessed belonged to Kyle. As he had no reason to hide anything, Chenyan said. Ah, thanks, it was useful. What? Hagar couldn't understand it. If what he heard was true, then that meant Chenyan took Kyle's ability. But that was impossible. A human has the powers of demons? No way. He himself had done too many experiments since he came here. In addition to preying on his own kind, he tried to transfer abilities to people. However, not a single human could possess a demon's power. It was impossible, and he was sure of it. No, rather than that, I need to take that core from him. He didn't have the time to fall into thinking. He should reclaim the core before it was too late. Don't make me do something which will make you regret your actions. Fat. Hagar flew towards Chenyan as he reached out a sword with flames in his hand. Weak. Hagar, who was pushed back, took a unique pose, and then he unfolded a technique. Sword technique? Wickedly clean. The sword of flames in Hagar's hands aimed at Chenyan's body like a vicious beast. I'll cut off your limbs with the martial arts you are so proud of. The trajectory drawn by the sword of flame went for Chenyan. However, in an instant, he disappeared and appeared behind him. This? Hagar couldn't hide his shock. This was Al-Qaeda's teleportation. How did this happen? There was no room for shock. Chenyan drew his sword. And at that moment, the demon felt a chill run down his spine. Swish. Not thinking, Hagar leaned back, and a black line passed through. Invisible sword? No, this is different. Hagar, who had mastered martial arts, was aware of the systems within it. However, this was different from the normal invisible sword. From that black line, he could feel a ferocious yet thick darkness, and if he hadn't moved, he would have definitely lost his life. I thought you wouldn't avoid it. Well, you are the leader. Hagar's face contorted at Chenyan's words. He couldn't tell if this was a joke or a compliment. It was unbearable to hear such things coming out of a human's mouth. Hagar stretched out his hand. Whoa! 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 Hundreds of spheres with demonic power appeared all around the space. When Hagar grabbed the sword, the spheres turned into sword shapes and surrounded Chenyan within 100 meters. How do you plan on dodging that? Oh! Surprised? Did you humans consider that using swords freely without holding them was air swords? Unlike you humans, the demons with higher psyche like mine can handle as many as I want at the same time. Hagar yelled in a happy voice. And as he said that, the demonic spheres moved as if they were alive. Swoosh! Hundreds of them rushed at the same time. This is fun. Chenyan smiled. Other than Chenyan himself, Hagar was the first demon to have this idea. But you're facing the wrong opponent. What? Chenyan stretched out his hand and then pretended to hold it down. Swash! Dazzling blue light rays fell from a higher sky and stopped the demonic swords. Pang! Pang! The swords which collided exploded. Hagar was taken aback at the swords which came in from above. What is this? It was one of Chenyan's favorites, Sky Flash. All the swords were accurately stopped with the help of Nano's panel system. No way. How can a human being? From what he knew, humans could never have such strength. Even if they have attained enlightenment, they have a limit because of their narrow thoughts. But seeing this human control so many swords, he was speechless. Is he really human? Like all others, he had the same thoughts. But there was a difference, this demon wasn't going to give up. Crack! He looked at the sky. And then the black eyes turned gray. The night sky above began to change as clouds began to come. Chenyan narrowed his eyes. Clouds? Rumble. Rumble. Dark clouds were coming above them as if an extreme weather phenomenon was happening. Thunder clouds were appearing. I will kill you. Rumble. As he finished speaking, blue lightning strikes could be seen on the black clouds, and they all went for Chenyan. The lightning seemed too powerful and destructive. Crackle. Human. Die. The lightning devoured the sky flash and struck Chenyan. It was strong enough to destroy the entire area. Among all the count-level hearts that Hagar had eaten, this was the best ability he got. This is the price a human has to pay for provoking me. Even an S-class alpha entity could be killed at once, which meant this couldn't be stopped. However, an unbelievable thing occurred right ahead of him. Chenyan, who had to be dead, was standing completely fine. How? He had no way of knowing that Chenyan, who became immune to lightning after absorbing the core of the dragon turtle, wouldn't be affected by this. How disappointing. At that time, Chenyan raised his hand and swung it like a circle, and the lightning followed his movement. Crackle. The huge lightning started to move in his hands. No way? Let's hit you this time. When Chenyan reached out to Hagar, the lightning went there. Hagar tried to avoid it, but since it was too huge. Crackle. This is insane. Quang. Quack. Hagar, who was struck, fell to the ground as he screamed. Unfortunately, he didn't have any core or blood of a spirit beast inside him, so he received the shock. Quang. Quack, cough. Black smoke came out of his stomach as he was dug in a 100-meter pit. If he hadn't changed into an awakened body, he might have completely disappeared. Hagar stood up as he staggered and involuntarily clasped his hands. Quack, among the trashy humans, are monsters like this. Trickle. He recalled what happened 6 years ago, and felt the wounds on his body hurt again. Since that day, he had been avoiding direct fights and began to build his power, but he never dreamt that he would once again be in the same situation. Step. Chenyan descended in front of him. Now let me take your core as well. Hagar's face flushed red at the words and laughed. Quahahaha. Have you gone crazy because of your own helplessness? Grunt. After laughing, Hagar grunted his teeth. You asshole. Fine. I couldn't control my power since I was in this form, and so I endured it, but I don't need to do it anymore. I will show you my true power, you human. Thuck. Hagar's veins, which were bulged, sank. His entire body swelled up and scales began to sprout out like armor. Even horns were coming up from his head. Whoa! His power rose explosively, and the surroundings trembled. In the midst of the change, Hagar said, revealing his sharp teeth, which were black. Quack. Rejoice. For the first time, you will have the honor of seeing a member higher than Dukor. Slash. At that moment, Hagar's vision turned downward and he fell. This. All he saw was the ground where he fell. His head was cut off. Why, you? Chenyan's voice could be heard. Idiot. Did you think I would wait until your transformation was complete?